You strong.
After resolving the conflict, Sejun relaxed. He looked at the rabbits beside him and said, "Let's work together to prepare a meal to resolve misunderstandings on both sides." "What kind of food is that?" the rabbits exclaimed in confusion. The happy and eager face of this old farmer, along with the clapping, made everyone understand immediately. "Oh, it's mealtime now. Time to work a bit." Armed with its ink and hammer, its recent upgrades, it charged into the water full of piranhas and river shrimp. Lately, it has been dominating the pond quite well on its own, without needing Sejun's help. On the bank, Liam Rabbit effortlessly cut through the leaves, making them into neat, uniform pieces. The corn was grilled to perfection, emitting a tantalizing aroma. Though tempting to take a bite, the rabbits held back as they were still preparing. Moop Rabbit, with drool dripping, obediently pushed the cart ahead, its younger sibling carrying a large bunch of onions to Sejun, who was cooking. He lit a big fire, sautéing the onions until golden brown, emitting a wonderful fragrance. With the help of the rabbits, quickly on woven trays covered with onion leaves, the grilled corn and the smoked piranha rolled in onions exuded a fragrant smoky smell, accompanied by the side dish of charred onions, making everyone present feel blissful. It looked like a feast fit for royalty, causing both the mother bear and Ox 3 to roar fiercely, almost drooling. The mother bear had tasted some of these dishes before, but never in such a beautifully presented manner. As for Ox 3, needless to say, just the fallen corn leaves made it ecstatic, let alone a feast as grand as this. "What a feast!" Ox 3 exclaimed. Sejun sat watching them eat happily, kindly reminding them to savor it slowly. These dishes were like everyday meals for him and the rabbits, and there was even a tray of grilled corn left for Aileen. Now the tower manager dared not demand anything. They would eat whatever was given, and graciously thanked Sejun. Ox 3 started with some sweeter-than-cane stalks, smiling happily as it reached for the grilled corn, feeling like it was about to touch a dream. Indeed, when dreaming, there must be monsters. The dark red claws of the mother bear suddenly reached within a meter of it, wanting to snatch the corn. So there they were, enjoying their meal. But because they were vying to see who would get the first bite, they turned to grumble at each other, as if they were about to fight. Sejun and the rabbit gang sat quietly, nothing left to say, but silence wouldn't do. Ahem, let's establish some rules. No fighting, or there'll be chaos. While eating, listen up. This is Cook Cook's mother. She protects their fields and caves, along with her son. Cook Cook won't get anything snatched away because it's smaller. It can take whatever it wants. Sejun's introduction sparkled with mischief, while his mother snorted in reluctant acceptance. Sejun, of course, didn't know the name of this jet-black minotaur. It quickly thumped its chest proudly, introducing itself as Ox 3. Minotaur warrior, Ox 3. Alright, Sejun just referred to it as Ox 3, introducing it in turn to the mother bear that from now on, it would handle some of the farm chores. Hearing the mother bear kung kung once, Sejun had to call them both back and add, "Absolutely no fighting here. If there's fighting, none of you will get to eat anything." Upon hearing no eating, whether it was the courageous mother bear or the honorable warrior ox, both recoiled with embarrassment. Thus, the bear and ox alliance was formed in the blink of an eye. The two of them held hands peacefully, their understanding evident in just a glance. It's all for the cause. No worries about food or clothing. We're one big family. They acted so well that Sejun had to give them a like right away. Locking eyes, not knowing what to do, Theo caught the mother bear's signal, turned back to Sejun, and said, "Boss, look closely. They're holding hands and shaking too." After speaking, Theo sprawled out on Sejun's lap, enjoying being closest to the boss. Ox 3 suddenly remembered it hadn't asked about the fieldwork, so it turned to Sejun and asked, "What should I do?" Sejun affectionately stroked the cat's head, then looked at Ox 3 with a clear expression as if to say, "And you're asking?" He led Ox 3 to a vast area full of stones outside the land near the cave entrance, where nothing but wind and sand could be heard, the sound of sand blowing for miles with nothing but the yellow color of sand. Digging the ground as the Minotaur tribe had done on that Lamnuet day. Ox 3, you just need to flip all the moist soil underneath the surface neatly before lunch. Ox 3 bent down in confusion. Huh, just that and I'll get lunch. Indeed. Sejun nodded. Am I a capitalist exploiting you? What he meant was to finish before lunch, but Ox 3 thought even a big ox like itself couldn't do it quickly because it had no shovel or anything. Surprisingly, this cow listened to Sejun and nodded, then bowed down to the ground, its nose almost touching as if sniffing something. Sejun suddenly noticed the horns on Ox 3's head suddenly stretched out 10 times longer than before, no longer decorative, but truly curved, sharp, and unbelievably powerful. Before Sejun could ask, Ox 3 plunged its horns straight into the ground, using both its arms and legs to push towards the patch of land in front. By doing so with just one stroke, the surface was thoroughly tilled, efficient and time-saving. Thinking about the delicious hot food waiting for it at lunchtime, Ox 3 enthusiastically tossed sand into the air as if playing a game. Its booming moo echoed, "Food, food, it's almost time to eat. I have to work diligently." Sejun didn't know a minotaur could transform like that. Watching its speed and ability, he was extremely satisfied. From now on, farming on this land would be easy. Before Sejun knew it, Ox 3 had tilled more than 10 meters. He turned back and saw the rabbits had pushed a cart full of onion bulbs, preparing for the new planting season. First, they would plant onion bulbs so they wouldn't have to go into the cave to cut each stalk later. Sejun couldn't understand why he always thought they should plant onions first, perhaps because it was the easiest? After plowing the land, Ox 3 ran over to Kukuk's place to show off its muscles to the little one, while Sejun and the rabbits planted onion bulbs in the soil. As long as they solved the dry soil issue, planting this with Sejun was extremely easy. All they needed to do was cut down the fresh onion plants to the white root, and over time, the onion shoots would separate from the main stem. So, from one original bulb, they got 2 healthy onion plants. That's also why the rabbits didn't bring up many onion bulbs at first, because later everyone could easily split the root into 2 parts by hand. So they got 2 healthy onion bulbs to plant anew, which was really great. The status window popped up to congratulate Sejun on creating a 200 pyong onion leaf area, equivalent to about 60 square meters, and earning 200 experience points. Thanks to Ox 3's plowing, within just one day, Sejun had obtained many onion bulbs covering an area equivalent to a normal plot of land. He was very excited, thanks to the conditions inside the tower. These onion leaves grew even faster than usual. Full of hope for the future, Sejun knew from now on his fields would expand onto many plots, to the point where they couldn't be counted. If he followed the method of splitting roots like this, from 1 plant to 2, 2 to 4, then 4 to 16 geometrically, in no time, Sejun would cover the entire land with greenery. Watching the rabbits diligently watering each onion bulb, Sejun realized he still had one more issue to solve before expanding further. That is the issue of water scarcity. The father rabbit tapped its paws on its water container with a contemplative look. Only it and its son had watering cans, but currently, the amount of water from both wasn't enough to cover the area Sejun wanted to expand, or it ran out of water halfway like the Sahara Desert. This was also Sejun's biggest concern. In that container, yet there was a limit to the amount of water. With that amount of water, it couldn't possibly irrigate the entire new field. What about expansion? While worrying and thinking, suddenly Sejun noticed the father rabbit's entire body was enveloped in a familiar faint light. The father rabbit noticed this. It was so happy it laughed heartily. Finally, its moment had come. Unveil! The grayish watering can it brought from the first day it met Sejun had transformed into a shining, golden 9999 can. The father rabbit was very happy. It had finally leveled up. Oh my god! Not only did its color change, but it also grew bigger. Sejun couldn't believe a water can could change its appearance like this. It was unbelievable. Sejun just stared at the father rabbit in astonishment. A few days ago, ink leveled up. Congratulations! At this coincidental moment, is it because you continuously repeated it until reaching the limit of the object? Seeing the rabbit shaking the can, Sejun nervously asked how it felt. Did the amount of water increase? Proudly raising 2 tiny fingers, it cheerfully piped up, meaning the amount of water doubled. Both the father rabbit and Sejun were overjoyed. Let's continue expanding the onion fields. The father and son rabbits eagerly piped in response. Now that we have water, let the kids take care of it. Several days passed on Sejun's field. Ox 3 finished eating and lay down, seemingly forgetting about the Minotaur King waiting for it, wondering why it took so long. The sky inside the tower was comfortable, like early summer weather, always cool and full of breeze with greenery. Today was the first time Sejun put the golden-furred baby rabbits in a backpack to take them to the surface to see around. These kids were excited about everything, not afraid at all, looking around as soon as they left the place. Kukuk and Theo had been waiting for a long time. Sejun only introduced him as the big red bear, because Theo was already familiar with the kids. Cook acted like a big brother. He slowly approached the kids, then bent his nose close to them to sniff, as if trying to figure out what this cute little thing was. After counting the number, Cook found them adorable. He couldn't resist sticking his tongue out and licking the wet golden fur. The kids screamed, thinking a monster was attacking. The red tongue of the bear was as big as a rabbit itself. It was the first time they had seen something so big, so they got excited. However, they gathered aside without seeing anything dangerous, just a wet red tongue rubbing against their golden fur. The kids suddenly found it fun and wanted to play more. They all jumped on Cook, making him fall back and laugh heartily. His large body became a playground for the little ones to romp around. Seeing them getting along like that made Sejun very happy. Cook seems to know how to take care of the kids. With him around, the farming work would be easier because these golden rabbits are busy playing. They won't disturb their parents working. But Theo didn't think so. It crossed its arms, puffed its cheeks, then snorted loudly. With a smirk, the cat said, "Why worry? It's just the bear, right? I'm Theo, always here." To prove its appeal, it walked towards the forest area, waving to the kids to come with it. Uncle Theo will take the kids to explore outside the cave. The golden ones lying on the smooth red fur, it sounded good, but they were too engrossed in the new toy, the red bear, to care about Theo's advertised adventure. They rolled around on Cook, completely ignoring Theo, making it sadly whimper. "Meow, why did they forget about me?" Theo's world seemed to crumble. Just the other day they were clinging to it. Now they forgot about it. Sejun wasn't too surprised. Kids quickly get bored and grow up fast. Today they like this. Tomorrow they like that. It's normal. But Theo was upset. It slammed its fist on the imaginary ground. "I've raised them. Why are they being so indifferent now?" Seeing the cat crying so pitifully, Sejun approached and lifted it to comfort it, so Theo wouldn't lose any more weight from crying. "Now, sit on the president's lap and have some soup as a reward." Sejun knew only these privileges could calm Theo down. Indeed, the player had been defeated. It begrudgingly accepted sitting on Sejun's lap and eating the soup reward. By the way, Thungmil, Sejun suddenly remembered, isn't it time for Theo to go down to the lower floors to trade? The cat has been in the cave for a few days and forgot about that. Now that Sejun mentioned it, it lost interest altogether. It dropped the soup tube, saying it couldn't go anymore. Its hesitation and Sejun's surprise seemed unrelated. After a while, Theo decided it had to tell Sejun. The red bear played various tricks with the rabbits, looking peaceful and happy. Who knows if it accidentally stepped on any of the golden fur in there? Sejun, surprised, asked Theo, "A pack of wolves is after you because of this straw hat?" "Exactly, human." It didn't ask Sejun what was wrong with this hat. It just told me not to risk going down for them to catch. Now it's chaotic downstairs. Nowhere to go. Sejun pondered for a while and found nothing, then took off the straw hat, wondering why they were after it. This is artificial, isn't it? Although it has good effects, only farmers need it. According to Theo, those seeking it are not farmers. What do they need it for? Sejun put the hat on, suddenly thinking maybe there are farmers on other floors, but that's not something to worry about. Sejun calmly told Theo not to worry. "I have a solution. Stick your thumb out for the cat to see the credibility level." Sejun really came up with a way to help Thungmyo travel confidently. Theo widened its eyes in surprise. Did he just say there's a way? What's the plan? It genuinely wants to know because this face is confused enough. Suddenly, Sejun asked, "Theo, can you hire mercenaries? Can you hire an ox 3 like people hire mercenaries?" At first, the cat was surprised. Then it realized this idea was okay, so it tightened its whiskers excitedly, saying, "Sure, that sounds good. I'm in." Mercenaries are a job only those born in the tower can take, like wandering merchants, not applicable to adventurers from outside. According to the agreement between the Free Mercenary Association and the Wandering Merchant Association, freelance mercenaries can use merchant routes by paying. In addition, non-mercenaries can also use this method if they are temporarily hired as freelance mercenaries at the request of a wandering merchant. Sejun continued, "I wish I could become a freelance mercenary too. But unfortunately, like wandering merchants, only those born in the tower can do that job." Theo nodded approvingly at Sejun's good memory, saying he was right. But it wondered if Ox 3 would agree to be a mercenary. Despite looking quite gentle, it's still a creature from the 99th floor after all. "Ah." Sejun quickly responded with a way. "If Ox 3 escorts Theo as a freelance mercenary, I'll pay 3 times the daily work fee." 3 tower coins each day. The cat jumped onto Sejun's thigh, took off its hat, and touched his hair. Worriedly, it asked if Sejun was a genius. His mind was extraordinary. I've never thought of that. He pulled out a treat for the cute and understanding kitten and put the hat back on his head. Of course, Theo didn't refuse. It hugged the treat and enjoyed it. Little did it know Sejun was thinking a lot about it. He planned to use Ox 3 as an example in the future. Outside Sejun's farm, sand blew through the area full of dry rocks, eerily silent. From behind a rock, Ox 3 peeked out, cautious. And as it feared, from behind a boulder, a minotaur stomped down heavily. Someone asked, "Hey, Ox 3, what are you doing?" Approaching, the minotaur frowned, saying she'd been looking for him for 3 days. Clearly a familiar face, but Ox 3 panicked. It felt like it got caught stealing, stumbling to explain. "Moo, go somewhere else." The odd look in Ox 4's eyes was like saying, "Hey, I'm suspicious. Let me see where you're suspicious." Ox 4 leaned in, asking if it was secretly eating grass somewhere. "Moo." Ox 3's face turned paler by the moment, unable to say anything. So Ox 4 grabbed its shoulder and shook it vigorously, as if trying to shake its brains out. "Speak up. What is it? Whatever you're eating, take me there to eat with you." It struggled to say, "There's nothing at all. It's all just nonsense." Unable to pry information from Ox 3, Ox 4 bluntly said, "I can see from your face what's going on. The leader is looking for you. I'll report everything I saw today." Seeing no way out, Ox 3 sighed and said, "Fine, I'll tell you." Satisfied, Ox 4 cheered, and then set off, following it back towards the prehistoric cave. On the way, Ox 3 cautiously warned, "I'll take you there, but you have to be quiet. It's a secret." Being led to food was fine. Ox 4 agreed cheerfully. So both of them traversed the dry, rocky land and dense forest without saying a word, startling Sejun. He and the chubby cat had just swung up on the vine and were sweating from what they saw. Beside Ox 3 was a brown-skinned minotaur staring at him. Ox 3 sweated as if it had done something wrong, and it had to stop. It was risking its meal for this kid. Sejun regained his composure, stepping forward and recognizing it was also a minotaur. He asked what was going on. Did it bring its friend here? The friendly cow raised her hand. "Hi there, I'm Ox 4. Are you the one who will give us food if we plow the fields?" So, it seems the whole story has been told. Sejun glanced at Ox 3 and saw its helpless expression, asking if he could let his friend work here too. If not, it would cause trouble. "Moo." This came suddenly. Sejun crossed his arms and thought for a moment. Because farming wasn't urgent enough to warrant an extra mouth to feed, he didn't need another worker now. He turned to Ox 4, saying he would let her work here, but there's a matter that needs assistance. She agreed immediately, asking what it was about. Sejun pointed to the kitten on his shoulder and said, "Our esteemed traveling merchant, Theo, is being threatened by a pack of wolves. If you can escort Theo as a freelance mercenary, I'll pay triple the daily wage, 3 tower coins. How about that?" The cat gave a pleading look, saying this sounded a bit complicated. However, Ox 4 immediately refused, with an unhappy expression, saying she didn't like doing that. Looking up in surprise, Sejun asked why. She had just said she wanted to work. She looked very troubled, slowly explaining that she couldn't eat tower coins. Sejun and Theo were puzzled by what the cow had just said. Why would she say she couldn't eat tower coins? Who could eat that anyway? However, Sejun didn't ask much, only asking, "What if I give you 3 meals a day and snacks during breaks?" Ox 4 squeezed his hand in agreement immediately. "I'm a simple person. Whoever gives me food, I'll work." Seeing that job was better than plowing fields, Ox 3 clumsily joined in. "I want to go too." Aha! Sejun immediately understood these guys would do anything for food. He crossed his arms with the air of a patron, agreeing to let Ox 3 come along. 2 people would surely seem more reliable than 1. To show his generosity, Sejun put his hands on his hips and declared he would pack some food for all of them to use on the road. They haven't even started working yet, and they already have food. Both Ox 3 and Ox 4 excitedly asked, "Is it true?" Ox 4 was so happy that she rushed over to her friend, hugging him tightly, thanking him for introducing her to such a wonderful place. Suddenly feeling like a hero, he smirked proudly, enjoying the embrace from Ox 4. He said he was also happy to have her join. Oh la la, what kind of romantic movie is this? Sejun found it amusing watching one express affection for food, while the other blushed from being able to give food. Don't tell me these two are turning into a Korean drama just because of his family's 3 meals. Today, Sejun didn't work under the cave. He decisively cut through the onion leaves grown above for the whole session, finally harvesting a large pile in front of him. The entire area of the onion field above has been neatly harvested, but the young man is still wondering if this is enough. He meant if it's enough for the big mouths of those two tall cows. Theo carried its space backpack and asked again, "Chairman, should I put all of this in the bag? There's a lot in this pile. Is it enough?" Sejun asked as if there's no more room for tomatoes. Theo proudly swung its bag open, which looked like a dark-colored cloth, and then threw it onto the pile of onion leaves. It floated up like a normal piece of fabric being thrown, but when it reached the top, it transformed into a drawstring bag, sucking all the onion leaves inside, looking no different from the alms bowl in Journey to the West. Looking at it neatly falling into Theo's hand, Sejun marveled, scarred more things today than before. Only waited for him to ask this question. It raised its claws to adjust the newly changed merchant badge, still fresh on its neck. Confidently introducing, "That's right, because I've become a mid-tier traveling merchant. Merchant Meow Theo here." With the promotion, the storage capacity of the bag has also increased accordingly. This is new. The mid-tier traveling merchant title? It seems like the badge on your chest changed color, Theo, right? It angrily meowed, scolding its master for not paying attention, only now noticing. All right, Sejun lifted the cat up and rubbed its cheek to soothe it. No matter what tier of merchant, you still, so get ready quickly. Seeing the cat hugging its cheeks, Sejun said, "Hey, I have a gift I want to send to the family. Do you know how to do it?" Theo smartly raised 2 thumbs up, showing that of course it knew how. Just leave it to it. With the 2 towering mercenaries unafraid of anyone, Theo, a petite figure, waved goodbye to Sejun fervently with half a foot. He escorted them all the way to the edge of the forest, cheerfully calling after them, "Take care of yourselves. Ox 3 and Ox 4, remember to protect Theo." Saying goodbye to the merchant group, including the rabbit family. Apart from Peepee, they couldn't say anything, just stood waving to keep up the momentum. Suddenly Sejun had a dare, saying it made Muck startled. The 2 cows probably won't eat because they're out of onion leaves, right? Suddenly, he felt worried for his chubby cat. The merchant lane was as busy as usual, bustling with people coming and going. Nearby, there's also a resting area, now illuminated by lights from the windows. Below, many merchants are tidying up their belongings, preparing to enter the tunnel. The wolf den has been waiting here for quite some time. Elke even bought food to bring to the chief, who is waiting sleepily on the balcony. Elke asked how much money he had left, only to be informed that it was almost all gone, boss. Turning to where Elko was watching the crowd below, Elke told him to take a chicken leg to eat, but he refused, saying he wasn't in the mood. "Chief Elke, how much longer do we have to stay here? I'm tired of standing here day after day watching people go. We go back to the 85th floor." Seeing his despondency, Elke shouted straight into his face, making him stunned. "What nonsense are you talking about? Aren't you thinking about our tribe slowly starving, waiting for us on the 85th floor?" Elke roared with threats. "If we fail this mission, we won't receive food from Mr. Grid. The survival of the entire tribe depends on it." Elko was about to cry, apologizing profusely to the chief, begging him not to be angry anymore. "Release Elko." Elke sighed deeply, swallowing his anger. Elke, with both hands holding 3 chicken legs, didn't know what to say, so having food would bring enlightenment. It handed a golden chicken leg to the sobbing Elko. "This is a precious delicacy bought with the tribe's pooled money, given to us for our mission. You need strength." After soothing Elko, Elke turned to the chief, holding out a chicken leg. "Even if you're angry, you have to eat a piece. How could you resist?" While speaking, suddenly Elke sensed something approaching, his face becoming tense. Growling, Elke jumped onto the balcony railing and looked down below, ignoring the other 2. Because Elke had sensed the merchant cat he had been searching for days, finally it appeared, still excited, as if unaware of being hunted. The chief growled, determined to obtain information about the Straw Hat, no matter what. Before the Wolf Clan could descend to investigate, there was a continuous buzz of other merchants below, mainly expressions of astonishment and concern. They only reached the knees of the Minotaur, standing cautiously from behind, not daring to approach. They must know this is the route of the merchant travelers. Minotaurs have never had a history of being merchant travelers, so why are they here? Ox 3 and Ox 4 seemed not to care about those curious looks, quickly following Theo inside. "Hey, do you think what I'm thinking? Oh my god, I've never seen a Minotaur appear here before. Of course, this is the first time I've encountered a monster from the 99th floor. The two of them whispered, wondering which merchant traveler has the power to hire a minotaur as a mercenary. Surely that must be a great merchant. I'm very curious to know who it is. Suddenly, from below came the proud question of a cat. Are you looking for me? They startled, looking down to see a proud ginger cat placing its paw on its badge, then asked, Huh? Thungmyo traveler, what are you doing here? Theo waited until this moment to confidently introduce himself. I am Thungmyo traveler Theo, who has hired Mr. Minotaur as a freelance mercenary for myself. It couldn't help but laugh happily, feeling great to declare itself as the big boss. The suspicious dogs asked again, Are you the one who hired us? Is Theo your real name? It sounds strange. I've never heard that name before. Hey, little one, don't talk nonsense. Theo angrily meowed loudly, then turned his head back and shouted, Ox 3, Ox 4, come here quickly. We must make these two dogs impressed, or they'll say I'm lying. Unexpectedly, the two strong minotaurs had disappeared without a trace, leaving only an empty space in front of Theo. Only now did he panic and shout, Where did they go? How could the opportunity to prove himself as a Thungmyo traveler disappear like this? To attract the attention of the two neglected oxen, it must be food. Ox 4 stepped closer to a vegetable stall of a trembling little mouse, peering nervously against the wall, gazing fixedly at it, eagerly calling Ox 3 to come and see. What strange grass is this? Even Ox 3, looking at it, started drooling heavily, praising how delicious it looked. Ox 4 asked in a low voice, Do you sell this? But despite this friendly demeanor, it still frightened the trembling mouse. Clasped her hands, trembling and begging, Spare me, sirs. Please don't eat me. Theo saw the two of them here and immediately rushed over, shouting, Why are you here? We've been searching everywhere for you. They turned back to look at Theo, who was so angry he held his hands to his hips and shouted, Hey, aren't you two supposed to be mercenaries, protecting me, but standing here? Ox 3 apologized, embarrassed, saying they found this and couldn't resist coming. Theo asked softly, Oh, really? Time coming to the traveler's village? Ox 3 scratched it that it was indeed his first time here. To be honest, no Minotaur has ever left the 99th floor. Many strange things to see here. Remembering this, Ox 3 eagerly asked, Why is this place called the Merchant Path? Isn't it that the tower's pathways are meant born inside the tower to use? Why are there only traveler merchants here? Knowledgeable, folding his arms and asking, So you really don't know anything because you've never left the 99th floor? You're just country bumpkins. As he was about to explain, Theo suddenly saw some wooden barrels piled nearby. He had a brilliant idea and leaped onto 1, 2, 3 of the crates, stopping at the tallest one, mainly to shorten the height difference with these two minotaurs, to begin his speech. Ahem, middle-level traveling merchant Theo is here, and I'd like to to you all from A to Z. Once upon a time, long ago, all the pathways of this tower were designed to branch out like branches of a tree, the first floor to the 99th. They branched out from a main trunk, taking people to every desired floor, providing equal access every nook and cranny of the tower. However, because there are so many pathways, no one knows which are safe and which are dangerous. Just like the floors inside the tower, where every has its own dangerous monsters. On the leading to the towers, it's the same. No one knows which routes aren't occupied by monsters, so traveling wasn't as simple as it is now. At that time, the greatest traveling merchant, who later founded the Traveling Merchant Association, organized the pathways with their own forces. They gathered strong individuals capable of fighting to eliminate obstacles on dangerous paths, selecting safe routes for travel. The Free Mercenary Association, which later became the tower's main force, participated according to the tower's magical history. Both sides agreed on many issues to minimize danger, working together to create safe paths. They provided the necessary resources and manpower to manage these pathways, such as equipment and personnel, from the Association for Exploration, Trade, supporting in planning and implementation. However, since these pathways were managed by the Traveling Merchant Association, called the Traveling Path. Theo proudly displayed his identity as a traveling cat, concluding with a statement for his audience. Ox 3 and Ox 4 clapped and praised incessantly, then asked further, impressed, How did you, Theo, know all of this? He smirked to appear the feathered necks altogether. He said, These are basic information that any middle-level traveling cat would know. Actually, that story is on the new Traveling Merchant Handbook. Theo chuckled inwardly, grateful that he had taken the time to read that book, and to smoothly recount the story now. As I said, the residents of this tower can use the pathways, but there are also paid pathways reserved for traveling merchants, like shortcut routes. Ox 3 listened attentively, extending his hand to Theo, and again, those paid pathways? The stray cat jumped onto the large animal's hand, nodding in confirmation. We can only use these spaces because I am a traveling cat. Theo continued to explain that it will take a lot of time. This traveler's village is located at the center of this, where the toll roads converge. Theo jumped down, preparing to move, telling the Minotaurs they only need to go to the 38th floor. So we will take the paid path to go down to the 40th floor, then to the regular route to descend further. Ox 3 admitted it sounded complicated, but with Theo's experience trading tomatoes for Sejun's bourgeoisie, he trusted Theo. It waved its hand in a, "I know, it's let's focus on what's important now" manner. It extended its hand, happily suggesting that because complicated, let's go eat now. Right after hearing the story, being able to go eat immediately, of course, these two were okay right away, showing undisguised excitement. Hands clenched tightly, drooling a little more. Ox 3 and Ox 4 followed Theo into an alley of the traveler's village to replace selling its favorite fish dish. Because Theo doesn't eat greens, but he will eat anything, so they don't mind. The cat was too focused on the path to the fish restaurant to notice a wolf had leaped from the railing above, extending paws intending to grab it since when. By the time it realized, the wolf was very close. Theo couldn't run away, just meowed once in a low voice, a massive wolf figure crashing to the ground. Its front paws slammed down on either side of Theo with a loud thud, causing it to stand up with all its fur right into the wolf's strike zone. Elka, upon seeing it, growled fiercely and menacingly, identifying Theo as the traveling cat. Theo collapsed onto its pudgy four legs, its body huddled up, trembling incessantly. Sweat poured out as it realized this wolf that had blocked its path before. Theo realized it was afraid of them. Ox 3 swung a strong fist just as Elka aggressively demanded, "Answer me now, where did you get that hat?" Despite the intense questioning, Ox 3's punch hit the ground with a loud crack. Elka managed to jump aside successfully. Using all four claws to grip the ground to prevent slipping, its eyes shone fiercely, never leaving its opponent. Recognizing its attacker, it warily and anxiously, a minotaur. If that punch, I'd be lying in bed for half a month. Ox 3 lifted his hand from the sunken ground, not bothering to explain, staring at the wolf and asked, "Who are you?" Theo quickly shouted out, pointing in that direction, shouting loudly, "It's him! This jerk was the one who chased me the other day." So this is the person the Minotaur was hiding Theo from being attacked by. Ox 3 squinted at it and said, "Then let's deal with it right away. With two oxen here, not afraid they can't handle this wolf." Before they could act, Elko and Elkai jumped down from this moment, shouting, "Chief!" They saw the danger and intended to attack Ox 3 from above, but surprisingly, compared to their muscular bodies, it was right under the feet of the two wolves, clenching its hand into a fist, about to punch their little feet. Its eyes gleaming, Ox 4 punched the two puppies with extreme satisfaction. Ox 4 seemed thrilled because it hadn't used its strength in a while, punching both of them away to lie still in a corner. Elka, the tribe leader, shouted anxiously from afar, unable to rush over. With the first blow leaving opponents in such a state, Ox 4 clenched its fist excitedly to ask them, "So there are still two puppy dogs following you?" With this look, even if there were 20 more, it would still be fine. Turning to Ox 3, it instructed to protect Theo carefully, leaving these to it. Ox 3 held the tiny cat in its two hands as if to protect it. "Okay, let my teammates handle it," but Theo crawled out from there worriedly. Hey, is it okay for Ox 4 to handle it alone? After all, there are also 3 of them over there." Ox 3 laughed heartily. "Didn't you remember why we brought these? These are monsters from the highest floor, floor 99. These little dogs are no match, don't worry." And more importantly, Ox 3 admired with his eyes, pampering Ox 4. Softly, Ox 4's voice is even stronger than mine. "Oh la la, don't think Theo doesn't understand what the red signal on that black fur means." Its tail wagged lightly, and it roared once, then cheered loudly. "Ox 4, don't kill them right away." Indeed, with such backup, Theo's loud voice made Ox 4 very excited. She trod briskly back to the wolves, clasping her hands together, and cracking her knuckles, grinning and saying she hadn't tried it yet, so she didn't know if it would work. Elka ran over to where her two younger siblings were supporting each other, all three glaring at Ox 4 approaching them, but her punch still had quite an effect. Supporting the two wolves to stand up was extremely difficult. Elka asked if they were okay, but it looked not easy at all with the wolf pack. What now, tribe leader? The little ones looked at Elka, still helpless, knowing they didn't have much chance of winning, but making a bold and firm decision. We can't retreat. We won't have another chance if this traveling cat is lost. So all three wolves got into a ready-to-fight stance. Elka silently led the way, calling her two younger siblings. We'll all charge together to handle that black ox at once. The traveling merchant on the path has all fled. Only Ox 4 stood confidently, looking at the threatening wolves, still relaxed, inviting them to come if they think they can handle it. Outside the violence, the prehistoric cave remained peaceful under the warm sunlight. The sound of the comb brushing through the fur sounded really sleepy, and indeed it made Mup the rabbit very sleepy. Thanks to Liat the rabbit's grooming, it had just had a good nap, now waking up and chirping happily, thankful. But that wasn't scratching, it was Liat's grooming technique to beautify the fur. Now reaching a new height, the rabbits and Sejun were highly praised. He handled the excess fur from Mup to Mup. Each of them got a new fur coat, looking extremely beautiful. Now it's Sejun's turn. He wrapped his own blanket around his shoulders, closed his eyes, waiting for Liat the rabbit to style his hair. Lately I haven't been comfortable because my long hair is like a forest man's, poking into my eyes. Just cut it a little shorter for me, little brother. Leave it all to you. Liat the rabbit made a reliable sound, ready to work. Then suddenly the red bear behind sniffed and exhaled a breath. Because it was curious and wanted to come closer to see, it didn't expect its breath to tickle Liat the rabbit's nose. It snorted a few times, shook its body, then sneezed loudly, making its normally open eyes now tightly closed. When it opened its eyes, it suddenly saw a small white hole in Sejun's black hair. It seems that Liat the rabbit accidentally cut from the root to the tip during the sneeze. Where did the hair go? Both Cook and Liat the rabbit stared at it, their throats tightened without making a sound, because Sejun seemed unaware of anything. He closed his eyes in anticipation, submerged in happiness, soon to have a cool new farmer's hairdo. Tribe leader Elka's decision was made. We can't retreat. If we miss Theo here, we won't have any more chances. So all three of them bowed their bodies, front and back legs together, following the tribe leader's command. Elko and Elki will charge together. Ox 4 seemed unnecessary to go on the defensive, standing aside, watching the wolves crouch on the ground, the smile on its lips unchanged. To be honest, it's been a while since she got to punch anyone. Using her strong legs, the three wolves sprinted, gathering momentum towards Ox 4. Suddenly, Elka's foot shot up. Her body quickly appeared right above Ox 4's head, ready to descend. At this moment, she slightly turned her body, clenched her fist, her eyes glaring sharply at the enemy without any relent. However, Elka didn't land on Ox 4, but the tribe leader only attracted attention so Elki could move closer to the lower part of Ox 4. Surprised by the unexpected strategy, Ox 4 couldn't react in time, seeing Elki open its mouth wide to bite at her, as it could only raise its right arm for it to bite. With both sides locked in place, it was the perfect opportunity. Elka jumped down with her claws ready to strike. However, the tribe leader didn't play face-scratching games like a cat, but instead, her fingers grasped the right horn of Ox 4 tightly, squeezing it, causing her pain. Holding onto it as a fulcrum, Elka twisted her body in midair, placing one hand on the firm neck, using both hands to pull it taut to expose the neck, then biting into it with all her strength, without hesitation. With three wolves controlling her, according to the plan, when Elka released her mouth, blood from the carotid artery would gush out in a stream, and the prey would struggle for a few seconds, then die. The scenario was correct, but what Elka didn't anticipate was that her teeth couldn't penetrate that warm blood vessel. It started to feel strange. The Minotaur's skin was so tough that her teeth couldn't pierce it, using all her strength to bite and gnaw, but it was ineffective. Ox 4, feeling her helplessness, lowered her head slightly and asked, somewhat surprised, the young wolf, "A minotaur's skin can't be torn so easily, just so you know." As she finished her sentence, she suddenly swung her left fist at Elki, who was biting her right arm, right in front of the horrified eyes of tribe leader Elka. The direct punch was powerful, making the small one's nose bleed. She released Ox 4's arm, immediately crying out in pain. And to make matters worse, she easily grabbed the collar of her shirt with her hand, her body curving. Ox 4 straightened up and threw Elke forward. The little one collided with a pile of stacked wood, crying out in pain, to the point where Elko quickly released Ox 4's leg and turned towards that direction, shouting his brother's name. A moment of vulnerability meant receiving an immediate kick. Ox 4 angrily kicked straight into the wolf's abdomen. The force was so strong that she had to double over, absorbing the blow, then in no time was kicked far away, lying on her back without moving. Now only Elka, who was hanging on Ox 4's back, was also easily lifted by her. She clenched her teeth tightly, trying to tear the cow's skin, but couldn't, her mind filled with worry that she would defeat Elko and Elke with just one blow. She mustn't let go. But her limbs and jaws full of teeth still couldn't terrifying strength of Ox 4. She dragged Elka down and threw her forcefully onto the ground, to the point where the wolf could lying there moaning in pain. At this moment, the tribe leader of the wolf tribe was as a puppy lying on its back. One of Ox 4's hands pressed Elka down, the other clenched into a fist, swinging at the speed of a ritual preparation to crush her mouth. Elka, her heart's voice faltering. No. Just before death was imminent, it suddenly remembered its grandfather wolf, old and gentle, wrapped tribe's cloth, calling it affectionately. Elka, listen carefully. We are a purebred silver wolf tribe. When we die and become spirits, we become one of the spirits protecting our tribe. We are much stronger than all other tribes, and we can also improve our tracking and hunting abilities by inheriting protection and will of our ancestors. The next generation inherits the essence from the previous generation, and subdues larger, fiercer prey. At that time, Elka was still young, understanding little, but still remembered the warm hand shoulder when her grandfather mentioned, "Our honor is also that of our ancestors. Must behave properly and live with pride." His words were so gentle that a wolf like Elka eagerly listened. To not destroy the honor of the ancestors who have paved the way, one day we will all have an answer. As for what to answer, little Elka wasn't sure. She just knew it full and followed the teachings obediently. With her tiny fist clenched tightly, Elka replied, "Yes, sir, for the honor of our ancestors." And as time passed, it became increasingly harsh, until a child full of faith like Elka looked at the cracked land devoid of any water, if it would ever find an answer for itself. Since childhood, the tribe had been debating the prolonged famine, the food gradually scarce to an unbelievable extent. The Western tribe plundered and massacred each other too. Then one night, Elka's tiny village was attacked by another pack of wolves. They killed and set to large fires to destroy the camp. Elka watching her grandfather being killed. Her father tried to kill him out from the raging sea of fire. Elka's father had inherited the position of tribal chief not long ago. The people crowded in to question him. "Is it true that you are working for Aren't you ashamed, ancestors? Are they watching us?" "Yes, how can we the leadership of that lowly boar? You're the first to do this." The loud the tribal chief silenced everyone. Elka remembered her father pushing her back to see his helpless face when he spoke to the people. "We have no other choice. If we can survive until tomorrow, is the time to think about the children." Elka's father stroked the head of his little son, in pain, but still speaking. "For the sake of our children, and in our honor at any time. And the ancestors will understand why we have to do such dirty things assigned by that landlord, just to enrich him." The wolf tribe has been doing dirty work since then, doing things contrary to the ancestors to ensure survival. And when Elka grew up to inherit the position of tribal chief, it didn't change from its father's ways. Even knowing it was wrong, it could only console itself. Will you understand me, won't you?" Ox 4 pulled his fist back, shaking off the dirt and pebbles, staring at the unconscious wolf tribe chief, still. Because, perhaps Elka was frightened by Ox 4's punch, fainting, even though she only punched into the ground beside. Out of curiosity, he touched the wolf's ears. Not seeing Elka waking up, he boldly stepped forward to lift the ear. "Still unconscious, huh?" Ox 4 chuckled, clapping his fists together, and asked Theo, "His leg so he won't follow us anymore?" Jumped up and asked again, "Meow?" But then he realized it wasn't right, so he waved his arms to reply, "It's not good for this guy but breaking his leg is too cruel. Anyway, he's just a domesticated cat. Anything related to business, Theo is quick, so let my uncle handle it." The three wolves were tied up tightly by Ox 3 and Ox 4. because Theo said to Tay, Sejun will decide. This time, there's a big harvest. I wonder if these wolves will be put into the labor union? Sejun's cave seems to be getting more and more known. Right now he's singing loud, completely unaware of the hole in his head, shaved so clean that it shines, reflecting light on the sweaty heads of the hare and the red bear. He turned abruptly, asking Pipipi what to do now. The red bear didn't know how to deal with balls either, so he shook his head quickly. So both just stood there stiff, unable to stop up to see how far he had gone. Finished, or what that feels refreshing? Unexpectedly, his fingertip bald spot quickly stood up screaming, What? What the hell is that? Why is there a bald spot on my head? Pipipi and Hare quickly covered their mouths, staring at their owner as if going crazy. Seeing the queen bee flying over, Sejun quickly brushed his long hair one to see how the bald spot looked. Knowing what happened, I told Theo to bring a mirror. The hare, full of guilt, kept bowing and apologizing to Sejun, constantly, Pipipi sorry, almost kneeling down. He didn't want to scold the little one just for this, so he waved his hand generously. Everyone makes mistakes times. But who sees this? Here there is one human, everyone else is monsters. He chuckled falsely, and straw hat on his head as an illustration. If I use a straw hat, no one will see it. Just saying that, Sejun tightly grabbed the hat brim, ran to the forest, and sat down like a ghost. Seeing that, Cook Cookar felt it difficult to comfort themselves. As soon as the mother rabbit came out, he saw the scene of the owner sitting aside praying, the dejected son sitting in one place, not daring to come near, ran over to ask what was going on. The mother rabbit would be comforting first, but unexpectedly upon hearing of owner being shaved bald by the son, Mother Rabbit sighed deeply. Sejun didn't want them to worry. He swallowed his tears, pulled straw hat in embarrassment and back. It's okay, Mom Rabbit. Hare stuck close to Sejun's leg, rubbing, meaning to listen to his mom. A moment later, the young man wrapped himself in a blanket of onion leaves, once again using the VIP service of the prehistoric barbershop. But this time, the barber had changed. Behind Sejun's back, the Muppet was rummaging in her magical bag, out a sharp, grass-cutting scissors. The mother rabbit happily giggled. Incidentally, the plus point is the trustworthiness of this employee's face. At that time, Aileen was lying in the room, reading a red-covered book, enjoying some leisure time, reached into the onion leaf basket and pulled out something to eat. However, the cherry tomatoes were all gone. How could that be so fast? The dragon felt sad looking at it. Since it had grown bigger, the amount of food consumed had suddenly become much less, unable to satisfy its hunger. Thinking of Sejun's tough face, Aileen didn't dare to ask for more. Last time he misunderstood disastrously, asking a very silly question. Are you a winged pig? No. Aileen stepped back to find the careful farmer. I need some snacks, Park Sejun. Come out quickly, Park Sejun. Suddenly her eyes caught something strange on the orb, so she squinted and asked closely. Beside Sejun, a notice board appeared. The tower manager asked what was happening. At that moment, Sejun was busy in his tomato field, still not forgetting to ask, Is that Aileen? Oh, I thought it was something serious. Turns out there's something that made Aileen more curious than her empty basket of cherry tomatoes, which is what's on Sejun's head like that. He took off the straw hat for the dragon to see clearly, saying his hair was too long, so he asked Mother Rabbit to help cut it. How does it look? Isn't it weird? Sejun hesitantly scratched his neck, but his lips curved into a smile, as if he knew he was handsome, but pretended to be shy to ask for opinions. Perhaps it has discovered what its man's taste is like. The dragon looked at Sejun's short hair in surprise. It opened its eyes wide, looking back and forth in disbelief. How could this farmer look so different after just one meeting? Still no response from the tower manager. Sejun found it strange, seeing the window status still showing, but no text, so he called Aileen. Still no response. He waved his hand back and forth like shooing flies. Why aren't you answering? Hello? Hello? How do you feel about this hairstyle? Seeing Sejun's annoyed face in the orb, the little one had to rearrange her words a bit before speaking. She was stunned because Sejun's interface didn't look like a farmer's. To be more accurate, he looked too handsome, making her dragon heart beat fast. At this point, I don't understand how human aesthetics can appeal to Aileen as well. Is she a female dragon who loves Oppa? Sejun's face pressed close to the screen, his hand touching to see if the system had any errors. Take advantage of calling Aileen, making her blush and stand up all her hair. Anyone who doesn't know might think she's into guys. Hastily signaling Sejun, he read the message from the tower manager, not wanting him to come closer, so he backed away, thinking he had done something wrong, and asked what was wrong. The text appeared immediately. The manager said there was nothing wrong. She just said she couldn't take her eyes off for a second. The tower manager is asking you to bring her some shrimp from yesterday. Sejun rubbed his head, pretending to understand, thought it was something else, still making a mysterious appearance just for food. He sat down to be at eye level with the small board, softly said, "But I'm afraid this time you'll have to eat more slowly than last time." Lately, the number of shrimp is gradually decreasing. At the moment, there are only 1 to 3 left. Also because there are shrimp, there are no piranhas. He walked to the food storage area while talking to the system board next to him. "These days I've been eating vegetables only, feeling much lighter now. Who knows, it might be good for you too." Sejun took out some cleaned corn in the basket made from onion leaves. Holding it up, he asked Eileen, "Can you accept tomatoes and corn instead?" Seeing the text change to "Tower Manager thanks you," Sejun smiled and raised the food basket to ask again, "You're probably out of dried potatoes too, right?" Suddenly, he saw the words "and" hesitate, then asked again, "And what else?" The tower manager said, "The new hair suits you." Aileen only showed that line of text and then put away the notification board, as if shy and afraid of being praised. After a while, Sejun finally understood, but didn't understand what the tower manager was up to. What's up with Aileen? Does she know how to praise people? But chatting like this should be enough. He looked up at the mouth of the cave, filled with sunlight, straightened his shoulders to encourage himself to focus on work, right? The basket of onion leaves suddenly trembled strangely in Eileen's hands. Anyone who didn't know might think she was very cold, but it was actually because her dragon hands were trembling with excitement. Eileen held the basket of corn as if holding a treasure, staring at it intently with flushed cheeks, her heart beating loudly, thumping in her chest. Feeling uncomfortable, she raised her hand to feel it, wondering why it was beating so wildly today. Could this be a strange phenomenon of a dragon's heart? Before eating the tomatoes grown by Sejun, Eileen's heart had never beaten. Now, because of a basket of corn, it was beating like crazy? No. She kept shaking her head to push away those silly thoughts from her mind. After regulating her heartbeat, Eileen reassured herself that she was just too surprised by Park Sejun's sudden change in appearance. Mainly, she was just getting food from him. Now that she had it, she had to eat. Suddenly, as her eyes focused on the basket full of corn, the dragon paused. It recalled Sejun's words earlier. Eating those things is very good for your body. Suddenly, Eileen came up with an idea, so she went to the bookshelf and rummaged through several red and blue books, muttering to herself that she was sure it was around here somewhere. After a while, she found it. Her large dragon claw pulled out a thick black-covered book with deep gold letters, Timeless Recipe Collection, with very professional illustrations. Excitedly, Eileen opened the book, silently calling out to Park Sejun, "I will make something special for you, with all my heart." Eileen blushed and put the book on her face as if she was telling Sejun. The next day, when she finally showed herself, she saw Theo's excitement. He looked shiny, raising his hand to greet. "Hello, human. I'm here." It had been a long time since the merchant cat arrived. The knights responded immediately, unanimously welcoming the traveling merchant cat. "How many tomatoes do you want to sell today, sir? Tell us quickly. There are many people needing to buy it." Theo's arrival was bewildered by this scene. Why does everyone look so hurried today? His hand forcefully placed the large basket of tomatoes from his spatial pouch on the ground, asking why everyone is in such a rush. For auction in batches, each batch of 400, a total of 3,600 tomatoes. What? The crowd gasped at the number 3,600. Normally, Theo only sells about 2,000, divided into 5 batches, meaning this time he's carrying almost twice as much to sell. Then the bidding commotion echoed throughout the area. Starting at 120 tower coins, the first 400 tomatoes were quickly sold for 200 coins. In no time, 4 batches were sold quickly. Theo was reaching into his pouch to pull out the next 2,000 tomatoes to sell. Suddenly, a strange voice from above stopped him. "Wait a moment, traveling merchant cat. I will buy all the remaining tomatoes for 1,600 tower coins." A young warrior holding a heavy pouch of gold coins walked alongside a man in a suit. Before Theo could respond, he turned to the remaining crowd and cheerfully asked, "No one wants to bid against Gagel, right? I wonder how many times more he bid than Theo sold them for." He left 2,000 tomatoes in the large onion baskets for the warrior, closed the deal immediately, then bid farewell and left. Company employees rushed to carry the tomatoes away immediately, leaving behind a disgruntled crowd gossiping. There are no more tomatoes outside the tower, so we can't buy them to resell. Why would a big company want to monopolize everything like this? Dongshik arrived later, so he didn't participate in buying, just listened to the crowd discussing. Even his team was scratching their heads over this. They lamented, "Ordinary hunters like us will never be able to buy cherry tomatoes again. Damn it, I was planning to buy some as a gift for my fiancé preparing for our meeting next month. When are you going to send out the wedding invitations?" Dongshik just stood and listened without adding anything because he was busy hiding his smile. "You're really sharp, Theo. I can go make another deal with Park Sejun on the 40th floor by..." Before he could finish his thought, he heard the loud outcry from Gaggle's company crowd. "Everyone, come here and see the choice of cherry tomatoes." The grower's name never appeared before, but now it's revealed. They gathered to pick it up and see. His name is concise, clearly Korean, Tower Farmer Park Sejun. Dongshik hurriedly ran to him, grabbed a tomato, and eagerly said, "Hey, let me see this for a moment." Not even a second passed before the stats board appeared, and it felt like a century to him. Magical cherry tomatoes, grown in the tower with rich nutrition and delicious taste. When eaten, it can break down 20 grams of body fat and increase stamina by 0.2 points in 10 minutes, enhancing a sense of well-being. Can stack effects up to 10 layers in 1 hour. Grown by Park Sejun, shelf life 60 days, grade D. Dongshik was gaping in disbelief. He knew the grower's name, but how could a tower farmer be so clear? The soldier barked orders to the Gaggle staff, quickly returned to the guild's camp on the first floor, and immediately learn about Park Sejun. "We have to get him on our side. Bring the American Hunters Guild to Korea immediately." After giving the order, he looked at the small tomato in his hand and laughed heartily. "We've got valuable information. We'll receive endless praise from the vice president. I'll congratulate myself on my promotion right away." Dongshik stood from afar, watching him laugh happily at the wide-open path of success, along with the staff carrying 2,000 cherry tomatoes leaving, feeling cold inside. Damn it, with this situation, I'll lose a valuable opportunity. Above all, Park Sejun's family will be in danger. For the wealthy outside the tower, cherry tomatoes are more valuable than gemstones. If grown inside the tower, they are likely to be threatened or kidnapped to control the monopoly, forcing Sejun to do what is beneficial for the conglomerates. Dongshik pondered, based on what Theo said the day before. Park Sejun has never left the tower for any mission, but he only receives information from outside through Theo, so he probably knows nothing about the current situation.